The knock comes at the 9th hour, just as the Roman bombardment pauses. Eleazar freezes. His hand hovers over the clay bowl, their last bowl, hiding their last food. Beneath the cloth, 3 handfuls of barley, maybe 4, if you don't look too closely at the stones mixed in. Enough for his family to survive 2 more days. Maybe 3, if they chew slowly, if they don't think about hunger, if they pretend the grains are sufficient. The knock comes again, weaker this time. His daughter, Yael, 8 years old, and so thin her bones cast shadows, looks up from the corner. She doesn't ask who it is. She knows. Everyone knows everyone in the Potter's Quarter now. The siege has compressed Jerusalem's population into a fraction of its former size. The living, anyway. The dead don't need much space. Father, her voice is barely a whisper. Eleazar's hand closes around the bowl. The clay is cool, smooth. He made it himself, back when potters made bowls instead of counting grains, back when Jerusalem had food, back when knocking on a door meant greeting a neighbor, not begging for life. Outside, a woman's voice, Eleazar, please. My son. He knows her son, saw him yesterday in the street, or what passes for a street now that bodies line the walls. The boy is maybe 12. Was 12? 12 doesn't mean much when you're starving. Age becomes irrelevant. There's only alive and soon to be dead. Miriam, his wife, touches his shoulder, says nothing. She doesn't need to. They've had this conversation 100 times without words. Every day brings it. Every knock, every pleading voice, every choice between mercy and survival. The barley in the bowl represents 48 hours. 2 sunrises, 2 sunsets, 2 more days of his children's hearts beating. His father, sleeping in the corner, wheezing with each breath, 2 more days of that sound, terrible and precious. Or he opens the door, shares the grain, extends one family's life by 12 hours while shortening his own family's by 24. The mathematics of starvation are cruel and precise. There's no miracle multiplication here, no manna falls from heaven. There's only this, a bowl, some grain, and the choice of who eats. The woman outside coughs, a wet, rattling sound. Eleazar recognizes it. Everyone recognizes it now. Starvation's final stage, the body consuming itself, the lungs filling with fluid as the heart weakens. She has days, not weeks. Her son probably has hours. Eleazar stands. The bowl remains on the table. His family watches him. No one speaks. In the corner, his father's wheezing continues, steady as a heartbeat, marking time in a city where time has become the only luxury no one can afford. But to understand this moment, to understand how a potter became a man weighing souls on a scale of grain, we must go back to the 4th watch of the night, when darkness still covered Jerusalem's walls, back to when the day began, and hope, however fragile, still seemed possible. The 4th watch, between 3 and 6 in the morning, when darkness is deepest and the Roman camps fall silent. Eleazar wakes to his father's coughing, not the wet cough from his vision of 9 hours hence. Not yet. This is the dry cough of thirst, of a throat that hasn't tasted water in 16 hours, of a body that's forgotten what moisture feels like. He lies still on the packed earth floor. Their home once had wooden beds, once had cushions, once had the basic comforts of a modest potter's household. The wood burned for cooking 2 months ago, when the last of the olive oil ran out. The cushions were traded for a handful of lentils in week 4 of the siege. Now there's only dirt and thin blankets, and even the blankets are negotiable. Beside him, Miriam breathes, shallow breaths, the kind that conserve energy, the kind that keep you alive when your body has nothing left to burn but itself. In the corner, Yael and her brother David sleep pressed together. David is 6, was 6. He stopped growing months ago. Children don't grow during sieges. They shrink. Eleazar's father coughs again. The old man, 63 years, which makes him ancient in a city where 30 feels old now, sits propped against the wall. His eyes are open. They're always open these days. Sleep requires energy. His body has decided sleep is a luxury. Water, his father whispers. Eleazar rises. His legs protest. Malnutrition has weakened the muscles, turned them stringy and insufficient. Yesterday, he nearly fell carrying an empty basket. A month ago, he carried full water jars from the pool of Siloam without strain. Now, his own weight feels burdensome. The water jar sits in the corner, clay, his own work from before. The craftsmanship mocks him now, perfect proportions, smooth curves, a vessel designed to hold plenty. It holds approximately 1 liter. 1 liter for 5 people. 1 liter that must last until tomorrow's water distribution, assuming there is a distribution, assuming the Zealot factions controlling the city's water sources don't decide to withhold it again for political leverage. He measures out 1/4 of a clay cup, approximately 50 milliliters, his father's morning ration. Slowly, Eleazar whispers, supporting his father's head. The old man drinks, his throat works. Each swallow is an act of will. Eleazar watches his father's face, sees the moment when the body recognizes liquid, the brief flash of something like pleasure, before it fades back into the constant low hum of suffering. The wall, his father asks, still stands. The temple still stands. This is their morning liturgy now. Not prayers, not blessings, just confirmation that Jerusalem hasn't fallen during the night, that the stones still hold, that God's house still reaches toward heaven, even as heaven seems to have stopped listening. Eleazar returns the jar to its corner. Miriam is awake now. She doesn't ask for water. She never asks. She simply waits until he pours her ration another 50 milliliters and drinks without comment. This is marriage in a siege. Not words, not touch, just the quiet acknowledgement that you're both still breathing. The children don't wake. They've learned to sleep through hunger, through thirst, through the sounds of bombardment and screaming and the endless grind of survival. Childhood ends quickly when childhood becomes incompatible with staying alive. Outside, the city begins its daily resurrection. Footsteps in the street, voices, low and careful, the scrape of wood on stone as someone moves a body. Jerusalem has developed a morning routine. Count the dead, clear the streets, pretend today might be different. Eleazar moves to the door, presses his ear against the wood, listens. The bombardment hasn't started. The Romans fire their stone throwers ballistae, they're called, though Eleazar doesn't know the Latin word at predictable times. Dawn, midday, evening. As regular as prayer times, which makes a certain terrible sense. War has its rhythms, same as worship. He has perhaps an hour before the stones begin to fly, an hour to reach the potter's quarter, to check if his workshop still exists, to scavenge for anything useful among the ruins, an hour to move through the city before movement becomes suicide. Miriam touches his arm. "The grain," she says. He nods. The bowl sits wrapped on their single remaining shelf. He unwraps it, counts the grains by touch in the darkness, approximately 100 grains of barley. He separates them into 2 piles, 50 for today, 50 for tomorrow. Today's pile gets divided again, 10 grains per person, 10 grains, approximately 1 gram of food each. The Romans, camped outside the walls, eat 1 kilogram of grain per day per soldier. The Romans have enough food to sustain 3 full legions, plus auxiliary forces for years if necessary. Jerusalem has enough food to sustain its population for perhaps 3 more weeks, and that's optimistic. Eleazar doesn't think about the mathematics. Thinking about numbers leads to despair. He simply counts 10 grains into each palm, then wraps the rest carefully, precisely, like a man handling gold dust, because it is gold dust, more valuable than gold. Gold can't fill a stomach. Gold can't give you tomorrow. He wakes Yael first. Her eyes open immediately, no gradual waking, no sleepy confusion. Children in sieges learn alertness, learn to wake ready, learn that the world requires constant vigilance. Breakfast, he says, placing 10 grains in her small palm. She stares at them, doesn't complain, doesn't cry, just closes her fingers around the grain and begins chewing, slowly, methodically, making each grain last as long as possible. She's learned that too, how to stretch moments, how to make nothing feel like something. David wakes next, same process, same silence, same careful chewing. Miriam takes her ration without meeting his eyes. His father receives his with a slight nod, as if accepting a great feast rather than 10 grains that will vanish in seconds. Eleazar eats his own portion last. The grains crack between his teeth, taste of dust and stone, taste of desperation. He chews slowly, carefully, trying to extract meaning from each fragment, trying to convince his body that this is sufficient, that this is enough. It isn't enough. It will never be enough. But it's what there is. Outside, the first light begins to gray the sky. The siege's 137th day has begun. The streets of Jerusalem have become a geography of death. Eleazar steps over the first body before he's gone 3 paces from his door. A woman, middle-aged, though starvation makes age difficult to determine. She's been dead perhaps 6 hours. Rigor mortis has set in, but the body hasn't bloated yet. In this heat, bloating comes quickly. The siege has taught everyone to read bodies like texts, interpreting the stages of decay to estimate how long until the Zealot patrols come by to clear the streets. He doesn't look at her face. Looking at faces is a mistake. Faces have identity. Identity breeds memory. Memory breeds grief. Better to see only obstacles to step around. The potter's quarter lies approximately 800 meters west from his home in the lower city. 800 meters that once took 10 minutes to walk through bustling markets and greeting neighbors. Now it takes 30 minutes, and bustling has been replaced by navigating. The sun rises slowly, painting the limestone walls the color of dried blood. Jerusalem's famous golden glow, the way morning light transformed the city into something holy, has vanished under layers of smoke and stone dust. The Romans bombard daily. The Zealot factions fight each other nightly. Buildings burn. Walls crack. The beauty that pilgrims traveled months to witness has been reduced to rubble and ruin. Eleazar turns down an alley, heading toward the Tyropoion Valley. He keeps close to the walls, staying in shadow. Open spaces are dangerous. The Romans have clear sight lines from their siege camps on the Mount of Olives. A man silhouetted against a street becomes target practice for bored legionaries with excellent aim and powerful bows. Ahead voices. He freezes. 2 men emerge from a doorway. Zealots. He recognizes the type immediately: young, armed with confiscated Roman weapons, wearing mismatched armor stripped from bodies. They move with the dangerous confidence of those who hold power in a city where power has become the only currency. One of them sees Eleazar. "You, Potter." He stops, keeps his hands visible. Empty hands mean non-threatening. Non-threatening means survival. "Going to your workshop?" the Zealot asks. "Yes. Find anything useful, you report it. We have first claim. Understand?" Eleazar nods. "There's nothing to say." The Zealot faction's three main groups, led by John of Gishala, Simon bar Giora, and Eleazar ben Simon, control Jerusalem now. They control the water, the food, the walls, the defenders, everything. The Romans outside the walls are the enemy, but the Zealots inside the walls are the immediate threat. 6 months ago, before the siege, these factions fought each other, literally burned massive grain stores rather than let rival groups control them. Josephus, the historian who defected to the Romans, estimated those burned stores could have sustained Jerusalem for years. Instead, they went up in smoke, in factional power struggles, and now everyone starves equally. The Zealot waves him on. "Go, be useful," Eleazar continues. His legs ache. Hunger makes everything ache. His vision blurs at the edges, malnutrition affecting his eyesight, a common symptom he's noticed in everyone. The city is going slowly blind. He passes a group of women at a cistern. The cistern is nearly dry, a brown puddle at the bottom, maybe 50 liters remaining. The women argue in sharp whispers about whose turn it is to draw water. One woman holds a jar, another grabs for it, a third shoves her away. "Please," one woman begs, "my children." "Everyone has children," another snaps. "Everyone is dying." Eleazar keeps walking. Water distribution is not his concern. His concern is survival, and survival means focusing narrowly on the next step, the next task, the next small action that might grant another day. The Potter's Quarter appears ahead, or what remains of it. A Roman stone, a boulder weighing approximately 40 kilograms, struck 3 weeks ago. Eleazar watched it happen, watched the projectile arc over the western wall, watched it descend, watched it hit. The impact demolished 2 workshops completely. His own workshop lost its roof and one wall. He approaches carefully. Debris still shifts underfoot. Shattered pottery crunches beneath his sandals. These were vessels he made, storage jars, water pitchers, wine amphorae, all broken, all useless, clay reduced to shards. His workshop, what's left of it, leans drunkenly against the neighboring structure. The potter's wheel sits buried under rubble, the kiln cracked open like an egg. Clay vessels he'd been forming lay in pieces, months of work destroyed in seconds. But that's not why he's here. He kneels in the corner, near where the kiln used to be, begins moving stones. The Zealots don't know about this spot. No one does. It's his secret, his small rebellion against the faction leaders who claim everything. Under the 3rd stone, he finds it, a clay jar, sealed, small, maybe 15 centimeters tall. He made it himself, weeks before the siege began, intending to store olive oil. The oil is long gone, traded away, but the jar became useful for something else. He cracks the seal. Inside, approximately 100 dried figs. Not much, not enough to save anyone, but enough to matter. He took these from his workshop storage before the Zealots began systematically confiscating food, hid them here in the ruins, gambling that no one would search a destroyed building. He was right. He takes 5 figs, one for each family member, and reseals the jar. carefully moves the stones back into place. The remaining figs represent 5 more days of this, 5 more mornings of having something, however small, to give his children. Unless the Zealots find it, unless the Romans breach the walls, unless the siege ends in fire and slaughter, which Josephus, watching from the Roman camps, is almost certainly already writing about with his flowing Greek prose and his guilt-stained conscience. Eleazar stands, tucks the figs into his belt pouch, looks around the destroyed workshop one more time. He was a potter, a craftsman, a man who shaped clay into beauty and function. Now he's a scavenger, a hoarder, a man who measures life in figs and barley grains. The Romans did this, but also Jerusalem did this to itself. The factions, the politics, the refusal to surrender when surrender might have saved lives, the belief that God would deliver them, even as God seemed to have looked away. Eleazar doesn't think about God much anymore. God seems occupied elsewhere. He turns toward home. The sun is fully up now, which means the bombardment will begin soon. He needs to be off the streets when the stones start flying. Behind him, in the ruins, the hidden jar waits. 5 more days, maybe 6. After that, there's only what remains in the bowl at home. After that, there's only the impossible choice. By the time Eleazar returns home, the city has reached full wakefulness, which is to say, full misery. The streets carry sounds, crying, coughing, the shuffle of feet, the scrape of bodies being dragged to collection points. Jerusalem's symphony has one instrument now suffering, and it plays constantly. He slips through his door. Miriam looks up, sees the slight bulge in his belt pouch, says nothing. Words are dangerous. Words carry through thin walls to listening ears. Better to communicate through glances, through subtle nods, through the language of survival that married couples develop when survival becomes the only conversation worth having. His father sits exactly where Eleazar left him. Hasn't moved, conserving energy. The old man's eyes track his son's movements, but don't ask questions. Questions require answers. Answers require hope. Hope has become too expensive. Yael and David huddle together near the empty hearth. No fire, of course. Nothing to burn. Nothing to cook. The hearth is decorative, now a reminder of normalcy, of days when homes had warmth and meals and the basic dignities of civilized life. Eleazar sits, waits. The bombardment will come. It always comes. The Romans have established routines, and routines provide a strange comfort. At least you can predict when death will fall from the sky. Outside, a bell rings. Not a temple bell. Those stopped ringing weeks ago when the Zealots commandeered the temple complex for military operations. This is a warning bell. The watchmen on the walls have spotted movement in the Roman camps. Miriam moves instinctively toward the children, covers them with her body, as if her flesh could stop 40 kilograms of stone traveling at deadly velocity, as if maternal love creates armor. The first impact comes at the 6th hour, approximately noon, right on schedule. The sound is distinctive. First, the distant thump of the ballista releasing. Then, silence 3, 4, 5 seconds of silence while the stone arcs through the air. Then the impact. A crack like thunder. The ground shakes. Dust falls from the ceiling. This one hit somewhere in the upper city, someone else's home, someone else's family. Relief and guilt mix in equal measure. Grateful it wasn't your house. Ashamed of the gratitude. The second impact. The third. The Romans fire in patterns. Target the same areas repeatedly. Weakening walls. Breaking morale. Reminding Jerusalem that resistance is futile. Eleazar counts the impacts. 12, 15, 20. When the count reaches 30, the bombardment pauses. The Romans have firing limits, the war engines need maintenance, the crews need rest, the psychological impact requires space to breathe and grow. The silence after bombardment is almost worse than the noise. In the silence, you hear the screams, the cries for help, the wailing of those who've lost family members, homes, hope. Eleazar reaches into his pouch, removes one fig, places it on the floor between his children. "Share it," he says quietly. They stare at the fig like it's a miracle. David reaches first. Yael lets him. She's learned generosity, or perhaps learned that resistance costs energy she can't afford. David breaks the fig carefully in half, hands Yael her portion. They eat slowly, make it last. Turn one fig into 5 minutes of chewing, savoring, pretending abundance. Miriam watches. Her expression is unreadable. Eleazar meets her eyes. She knows he's hiding food, knows he's keeping something back. She doesn't approve, but she also doesn't object. This is marriage now, silent complicity, shared lies, mutual survival. His father hasn't moved. Eleazar places a fig in the old man's hand, his father's fingers close around it. He doesn't eat immediately, just holds it, feels its weight, its reality. "Thank you," his father whispers. For what? Eleazar thinks. For a single fig? For delaying death by 6 hours? For the privilege of suffering another day? But he says nothing, just nods. Outside, the bell rings again. Another round, more stones, more death. Jerusalem's daily ration of destruction. This is life now. This is survival. This is day 137. Tomorrow will be day 138, or it won't be. Either way, the Romans will fire their stones, the walls will shake, the dead will be collected, and those who remain will count their grains and their figs and their hours, measuring existence in increments too small to call living, but too stubborn to call death. The knock comes at the 9th hour. Everything Eleazar has been dreading, compressed into that sound, wood on wood, knuckles on door, the universal language of need. He knows who it is before he opens the door, knows because he's been watching the pattern. 3 days ago, he saw her son collapse in the street. 2 days ago, he saw her carrying him. Yesterday, he saw her sitting outside her door, holding the boy's hand, watching him breathe. Today, she's knocking. Miriam stands quickly, places herself between the door and the children. Instinctive, maternal, futile. "Don't," she whispers. Eleazar hesitates, his hand on the door latch. The wood is rough. He made this door himself, years ago, planned the wood smooth, fitted the hinges, built something solid and secure. Now it's just a barrier, a thin piece of timber separating his family's survival from someone else's desperation. The knock comes again, weaker. "Eleazar, please?" "My son?" Her name is Judith. Her son is named Aaron. He's 12, was 12. Age is fluid now. Aaron has the body of a 12-year-old, but the face of an old man. Starvation accelerates aging, speeds you toward death by making you look already dead. Eleazar knows her husband died 2 months ago, knows she has no other family, knows Aaron is everything she has, and everything is dying in her arms. He knows all this because Jerusalem has become intimate. When you're all dying together, privacy becomes impossible. Everyone knows everyone's losses. Everyone counts everyone's days. "Father," Yael's voice, small and frightened. He doesn't look at her, can't look at her. If he sees his daughter's face, sees her hollow cheeks, her protruding ribs, her desperate eyes, he'll make the wrong choice, or the right choice. He's no longer sure which is which. The bowl sits on the shelf, 3 handfuls of barley. The arithmetic is simple. 5 people in his family, 48 hours of survival. If he shares, that becomes 36 hours, maybe less. Maybe the reduction tips his father over the edge. The old man is close, so close. 1 meal's difference might be the difference between breathing and not. But Aaron is 12. Was 12. Is 12? Eleazar opens the door. Judith stands there, and she's not begging. That's what strikes him first. Her face doesn't carry pleading. It carries only exhaustion. She's past begging, past hoping, past everything except the mechanical process of trying one more thing because what else is there to do? I know you have something, she says quietly. Everyone hides something. I'm not asking for much, just anything, a handful of grain, a crust of bread, anything. Her son stands behind her, barely stands, leans against the doorframe. His eyes are sunken so deep they look like holes. His arms are sticks. His chest shows every rib. He's dying in real time. Eleazar can see it. Everyone can see it. I don't. Eleazar starts. Please don't lie, Judith interrupts. I'm not threatening. I won't tell the Zealots. I won't tell anyone. He's dying. You can see it. He's dying, and I have nothing. Nothing left. I've traded everything, eaten everything. We're down to water and hope isn't filling. Behind Eleazar, Miriam's breathing has gone sharp, panicked. She knows what he's considering, knows her husband, knows he's weak in ways that might get them killed. But Eleazar is also thinking about David, 6 years old. What if it was David standing there, dying? What if it was Yael? What if it was his family outside someone else's door, and that someone else had grain hidden, and that someone else had to choose? 1 handful, he says. No. Miriam hisses behind him. 1 handful, Eleazar repeats. That's all I can spare. It's all we have. Judith's face doesn't change, doesn't show relief or gratitude, just nods, holds out her cupped palms. They're shaking. Eleazar moves to the shelf, unwraps the bowl. His family watches. Yael's eyes are wide. David has started crying silent tears, no sound. Children in sieges cry quietly. Learn that noise attracts attention. Attention brings danger. He reaches into the bowl, feels the barley grains. Each one represents minutes of survival. Each one is irreplaceable. Each one is the difference between tomorrow and nothing. He fills his palm. Approximately 30 grains, maybe 40. A day's ration for 1 person, half his family's reserve. He pours it into Judith's hands. She stares at the grain, then looks up at him. Her eyes carry something terrible. Not gratitude, understanding. She knows what this cost, knows he just chose her son over his own family in some small percentage way, knows the mathematics of starvation don't forgive generosity. Thank you, she whispers. She turns, takes Aaron's hand. They disappear into the street. Eleazar closes the door, doesn't look at Miriam, doesn't look at his children, just stands there, feeling the weight of what he's done. You've killed us, Miriam says, not angry, just stating fact. That was 2 days of food. You've shortened our lives by 2 days. He was dying. We're all dying. He's a child. So are our children. Eleazar has no answer. She's right. Of course she's right. Generosity in a siege is suicide. Every piece of food you give away is food your family doesn't get. The ethics are clear, brutal, unavoidable. But he couldn't do it. Couldn't watch a 12-year-old die while he hoarded grain. His father speaks from the corner. First words in hours, "You did right." "Did I?" Eleazar asks. "Did I do right, or did I just feel good about killing my own family slowly?" "Both," his father says. "Both things are true." Outside, the bombardment has resumed. The Romans, punctual as always, death on schedule. Inside, the bowl sits on the shelf, lighter now, insufficient now, not enough to last until tomorrow's water distribution, not enough to matter. Eleazar sits, puts his head in his hands, and for the first time since the siege began, he weeps. Not loudly, not dramatically, just silent tears running through the cracks between his fingers, falling onto the packed earth floor where they disappear without trace. Like everything else in Jerusalem, disappearing, consumed, reduced to nothing. The 10th hour brings darkness and the zealot patrol. They come in pairs, searching houses, looking for hoarded food, hidden weapons, signs of collaboration with the Romans, finding any of those means death immediate, public, meant as warning. Eleazar hears them 3 houses away, shouting, the sound of pottery breaking, a woman's scream, cut short, then silence, then footsteps continuing toward his door. He's already hidden the bowl, buried it in the corner, under loose stones, covered with dust. The remaining barley, maybe 70 grains now, after his gift to Judith represents life or death. If the zealots find it, they'll confiscate it, call him a hoarder, a criminal, someone who puts personal survival above the collective good, which is accurate. He is a hoarder. He is putting his family above the collective. But the collective put factional politics above survival, burned grain stores to spite each other, and created this starvation. Eleazar's moral calculus is simple. He owes the zealots nothing. The knock comes, harder than Judith's, demanding, not pleading. He opens immediately. Hesitation suggests guilt. The guilty die. 2 young men stand there, maybe 20 years old, armed with Roman gladii short swords taken from dead legionaries. They wear mismatched armor. Their faces carry the dangerous emptiness of those who've killed before and will kill again without hesitation. Inside, one says, they enter without invitation, begin searching, methodical, ruthless. They overturn the empty water jar, kick through the corner where his father sits, scatter the children's blankets, look for hiding places with the expertise of those who've done this many times. Eleazar stands motionless. Miriam keeps the children behind her. His father watches with rheumy eyes, too tired to be frightened anymore. The first zealot finds the hearth, empty. He grunts, moves on. The second zealot finds the shelf, also empty. He looks at Eleazar. "Where's your food?" "We have none." "Everyone has something. Where are you hiding it?" "There's nothing to hide. We finished our rations this morning." The zealot steps closer. He's young enough to be Eleazar's son, probably was someone's son before the war turned children into killers. "You're lying." "I'm not." "Then how are you still alive? Your family looks half dead, sure, but they're not corpses yet. You have food somewhere." Eleazar keeps his face neutral. "We had food, we ate it, now we're waiting for tomorrow's distribution." The zealot's eyes narrow. He's deciding, calculating. Does he believe this potter? Does it matter? If he tortures the information out, does the reward justify the time? Before he can decide, the second zealot calls from the corner, "Found something." Eleazar's heart stops. The zealot lifts his hand, holds up not the bowl, not the barley, something else. A clay lamp, small, decorative, made months ago, before the siege, before survival became the only craft worth practicing. Oil lamp, the Zealot says, means they had oil recently, which means they're hoarding. We used the oil weeks ago, Miriam says. First time she's spoken. Her voice is steady, strong, for light. Before we ran out. Sure you did. The first Zealot turns to Eleazar. You're a potter. You make things. Bet you've got all kinds of stuff hidden. Secret spots. Special places. My workshop was destroyed, Eleazar says. Roman bombardment 3 weeks ago. Everything's gone. Show us. It's not a request. Eleazar nods. It's in the potter's quarter, the western section. But it's rubble. There's nothing there. We'll decide that. They're going to take him. Going to force him to show them the workshop. Going to search through the ruins. And when they search, they'll find the jar. The hidden jar with the remaining figs, and then they'll kill him. Not immediately. First they'll torture him to find what else he's hiding. Then they'll kill him as an example. His family will starve within 3 days. Please, Eleazar says, my father is dying. My children are starving. Let me stay with them. The workshop is ruins. There's nothing there worth your time. The first Zealot considers, then shrugs, fine. But if we hear you're trading food, hoarding supplies, collaborating with Romans, anything will be back. And next time, we won't ask questions first. They leave. Take the oil lamp with them. Small theft, meaningless theft, but theft that reinforces the power dynamic. They can take what they want. He can protest nothing. The door closes. Eleazar stands frozen. His legs are shaking. Miriam sinks to the floor, pulling the children close. His father hasn't moved. For 5 minutes, no one speaks. They just breathe. Survive another encounter, add another hour to their lives. Finally, Eleazar moves to the corner, begins clearing the stones, retrieves the bowl, counts the grains again, 68. He counted wrong before, or maybe he didn't. Maybe he's losing the ability to count. Malnutrition affects the mind, makes you slow, makes you stupid. 68 grains. Enough for tomorrow morning. Maybe tomorrow evening, then nothing. What do we do? Yael asks. Eleazar looks at his daughter. 8 years old, deserves a childhood, deserves food and safety and laughter, deserves everything this siege has stolen. We survive, he says. We survive another day. That's all we can do. And then we survive another day after that. It's not much of an answer, not much of a plan, but it's true. This is siege life. This is what resistance costs, not heroic battles, not dramatic last stands, just slow starvation, slow death, the gradual erasure of everything that makes life worth living. Outside, night falls. The bombardment stops. The Romans sleep in their camps, well-fed and patient. They don't need to storm the walls. Time is their weapon. Hunger is their ally. Every day they wait, Jerusalem grows weaker. Every day they wait, Eleazar's family grows closer to the corpses in the street. He wraps the bowl, hides it again. Tomorrow he'll go back to the workshop, retrieve the last figs, make them last another week if possible. After that, there are no plans, no strategies, no hope. After that, there's only the mathematics of starvation playing out to their inevitable conclusion. The 11th hour. Near midnight, the city has fallen into its nightly silence. Not peaceful silence. There's nothing peaceful about Jerusalem's nights, but the active dying has paused. The bombardment has stopped. The Zealot patrols have moved to different sectors, For a few hours, the siege enters a kind of suspended state, not peace, just absence of immediate violence. Eleazar lies awake on the floor. Beside him, Miriam sleeps, or pretends to sleep. Hard to tell the difference anymore. The children are definitely asleep, their breathing deep and even, their bodies conserving every possible calorie. His father is not sleeping, never sleeps anymore, just exists in that twilight state between conscious and unconscious, breathing, persisting, refusing to die despite every reason to surrender. A sound outside, not loud, subtle, the scrape of something against stone. Eleazar's eyes open. He doesn't move, just listens. The sound comes again, rhythmic, deliberate. Someone is moving in the street. Not patrol. Patrols are loud, want you to hear them coming. This is quiet, purposeful, guilty. He rises slowly, moves to the door, presses his ear against the wood. The sound stops. Then, very quietly, Eleazar. Judith's voice, but different, hollow, empty of everything except necessity. He opens the door a crack. What? She's standing there, alone. No Aaron. Her hands are empty. Her face is... Eleazar stops, stares, cannot process what he's seeing. Her face is smeared with something dark. Her tunic is stained. She's trembling. He died, she whispers. 2 hours ago. The grain you gave us, he ate it. Thanked me. Said it was the best meal he'd had in weeks. Then he closed his eyes, and he didn't open them again. Eleazar doesn't speak. What can he say? I'm sorry? That seems insufficient. That seems like nothing. Judith takes a breath. Then another. Like she's preparing for something terrible. I need to tell you something, she says. Because you were kind. Because you gave us food when you had none to spare. Because I owe you truth. You don't owe me. Listen. Her voice is sharp, desperate. Just listen, please. He stops, listens. Aaron died 2 hours ago, she repeats. And I couldn't just, he was all I had. My son, my only child, and he was dead, and I was alone, and I was so hungry I can't think, can't see straight. And he was already dead, already gone, and I thought. She stops, swallows, continues. Josephus writes about it in his histories, says mothers are eating their children. I didn't believe it, thought it was Roman propaganda, thought no one could, but I understand now. I understand how hunger becomes bigger than love, bigger than grief, bigger than everything. Eleazar goes cold, understands where this is going, doesn't want to understand, wants to close the door, wants to unhear what he's about to hear. I didn't do it, Judith says quickly. I didn't. I wanted to. God forgive me. I wanted to. Looked at his body, thought about survival, thought about how flesh is flesh, how meat is meat, how the dead don't need their bodies anymore. But I couldn't do it, couldn't become that. She's crying now, silent tears like David's tears, like everyone's tears. Jerusalem has learned to cry quietly. But others have, she continues. I know they have. I see it in faces. The ones who are less hungry than they should be. The ones whose children disappear and no one asks questions. It's happening. Josephus is right. Jerusalem is eating itself. Eleazar wants to deny it, wants to say she's wrong. But he can't, because he's seen the same faces, had the same thoughts. Late at night, when hunger makes you insane, when your children are dying and your own body is consuming itself, you think terrible things, consider terrible options. He hasn't acted on them. Neither has Judith. but they've thought them, and thinking is most of the way to doing. Why are you telling me this? He asks. Because I'm leaving, she says. Tonight, I'm going to the Roman camps, going to surrender. They have food, they have life. I can't stay here anymore. Can't become what this siege is making us become. They'll enslave you. Better a slave with food than free and starving. The Zealots will kill you if they catch you leaving. Then they kill me. Either way, this ends. She looks at him. Her eyes carry something Eleazar recognizes. Not hope, not despair, just exhaustion so profound it's become its own form of acceptance. You should come, she says. Bring your family. Get out while you can. The Romans will breach the walls eventually. When they do, they'll kill everyone. Men, women, children, it won't matter. Titus wants examples, wants to break Jewish resistance permanently. He'll massacre the city. We can't, Eleazar says. The Zealots watch the walls, watch the gates. They've executed dozens for trying to leave. Then stay. Die here. Watch your children starve. Watch them eat each other. Watch Jerusalem become a tomb. Her voice isn't cruel, just factual. That's what's coming. That's what we've chosen. She turns to go, then stops, looks back. The grain you gave us, she says. The handful, that was kindness. That was being human when humanity costs too much. Thank you for that. Thank you for reminding me that some of us are still trying. She disappears into the darkness. Eleazar stands in the doorway. Doesn't close it, just stands there, feeling the night air, listening to the sounds of a city dying. Behind him, his father's voice, weak but clear. She's right, you know, about what's coming. I know. The walls will fall. The Romans will enter. Everyone here will die. I know. Then why are we staying? Eleazar turns, looks at his father in the darkness. Because this is Jerusalem. Because this is God's city. Because if we abandon it, what are we? Alive, his father says. We'd be alive. For how long? As slaves? As conquered people? Watching our children grow up serving Rome? Better than watching them die. Eleazar has no answer. Because his father is right. Judith is right. The logic is clear. Stay and die, or leave and live. Simple mathematics. But Jerusalem isn't mathematics. Jerusalem is faith, is stubbornness, is the belief that God will deliver them, even when every day brings new proof that God has looked away. I can't leave, Eleazar says finally. I can't betray the city, can't betray the temple, can't. You're not betraying anyone, his father interrupts. You're saving your children. That's not betrayal. That's duty. But, no buts. His father's voice carries surprising strength. Listen to me. I'm old. I'm dying anyway. Days, maybe hours. But Yael and David, they have decades ahead if you get them out. Decades of life. You owe them that chance. The Zealots are dying too. Everyone is dying. Everyone is lost. The only question is who dies with honor and who dies for nothing. Your children dying here? That's dying for nothing. That's waste. Eleazar closes the door, sits, thinks. The bowl has 68 grains. 2 days, maybe 3. After that, nothing. After that, the terrible choices begin. The choices Judith almost made. The choices others have made. The choices that turn humans into monsters. He looks at his sleeping children. Yael, David, small bodies, growing smaller, bones showing through skin, life draining away by degrees. His father is right, Judith is right. Staying is suicide, but leaving is betrayal, and Eleazar doesn't know which is worse. The night stretches on. Jerusalem breathes around him, shallow, dying breaths. Day 137 becomes day 138. The sun will rise. The bombardment will resume. The choice will remain. Stay or go. Die free or live enslaved. Jerusalem or survival. He has until morning to decide. The fourth watch again. Between 3 and 6, darkness deepening before dawn. Eleazar hasn't slept, has spent the night thinking, calculating, wrestling with mathematics that have no good solutions. Beside him, Miriam is awake. She's been awake the whole time. They've lain side by side in the darkness, not speaking, both thinking the same thoughts. Finally, she speaks. We're going. Not a question. A statement. A decision made without discussion because discussion would make it real and real feels like betrayal. Yes, Eleazar says. When? Tonight, after the bombardment, when the patrols change shifts. There's a window, maybe 30 minutes, when the western wall is less watched. How do you know this? I've been watching, planning, just in case. She's quiet for a moment. Then, you've been planning to leave. I've been planning to survive. It's the same thing. Yes, the children are still sleeping. His father is awake. Eleazar can hear it in his breathing. The old man has heard everything, understands what's happening. I'm not coming, his father says. Yes, you are. I'll slow you down, get you caught, get the children killed. His father's voice is calm, accepting. I'm dying anyway. Days, maybe hours. Leave me, save them. We're not. You are. Firm, final. This is not negotiable. This is not a discussion. I'm staying. You're taking your family. That's the plan. Miriam starts to protest. His father raises a hand. The gesture is weak but meaningful. I've lived 73 years, he says. I've seen the temple, prayed in it, lived a righteous life, mostly. I've had children, grandchildren. I've been blessed. But Yael and David, they've had nothing. 8 years, 6 years, they deserve decades. They deserve life. We can carry you, Eleazar says. You can't. You know you can't. You're weak from hunger. Carrying me means moving slowly. Slowly means getting caught. Getting caught means dying. All of you? He's right. Of course he's right. The mathematics are brutal and clear. I'll tell the Zealots you left without me, his father continues. Snuck out while I was sleeping. Betrayed me. They might believe it, might not torture me for information. Either way, it buys you time. Father, this is what fathers do. They protect their children, even when their children are grown, especially then. He coughs, the wet cough, the dying cough. I don't have long anyway. Let me die doing something that matters. Let me die giving my grandchildren a chance. Eleazar feels something break inside his chest, not his heart that broke months ago during the first week of the siege when he realized what was coming. This is something else. Some last piece of who he used to be, shattering and falling away. I love you, he says. I know. That's why you'll do this. That's why you'll leave. Miriam is crying, silent tears. Her hand finds Eleazar's hand, squeezes. They sit there in the darkness, holding hands, holding grief, holding the terrible weight of choices they never wanted to make. Day 138's dawn approaches, the final dawn they'll see in Jerusalem, the final day of being free Jews in a Jewish city, however starved, however besieged. Tomorrow, if they survive, they'll wake as refugees, as supplicants to Rome, as conquered people begging for scraps. But they'll wake, their children will wake. Life, however diminished, will continue. We need to prepare, Miriam says. Practical, focused, mother voice taking over. We can't take much, just water, the remaining grain, anything small and valuable for trading. The workshop, Eleazar says. The hidden jar. I need to get it. Too risky. We need those figs. 5 days of food. That's 5 days of not depending on Roman mercy immediately. She considers, nods. Be careful. I will. He stands. His father watches him. They look at each other. 60 years of family compressed into one look. Everything that matters, everything that can't be said, present in that moment. Tonight, Eleazar says. Tonight, his father confirms. I'll never forget you. Yes, you will. You'll survive. You'll move forward. You'll rebuild. That's what the living do. That's what I want you to do. Eleazar nods, turns away before the grief overwhelms him, moves to the door. Outside, Jerusalem is beginning to wake. Day 138. The day they'll betray everything they believed in to save everything that matters. The day they'll choose life over honor, survival over principle, children over city. The day they'll become what the siege has made them. Not heroes, not martyrs, just people who couldn't watch their children die. The 12th hour, midnight, the darkest part of night. Eleazar has retrieved the jar from his workshop. 5 figs inside. 5 days of margin. 5 days before they become completely dependent on Roman mercy. The family gathers in the darkness. Yael and David are awake now, told they're going on a journey, but not why. Children sense when truth is dangerous. They don't ask questions. His father sits in the corner, already looks like a corpse. Eleazar can see death hovering around the old man, patient and close. It's time, Miriam whispers. They've packed everything valuable, which is nothing. The hidden grain, 40 grains remaining after today's rations. The figs, a single water skin, half full. That's it. That's everything they own. Everything they've accumulated over a lifetime, reduced to things that fit in a belt pouch. Eleazar approaches his father, kneels beside him. Thank you, he says, for everything, for raising me, for teaching me, for this. His father touches his face. The hand is skeletal, cold. Go. Don't look back. Don't come back. Live. I love you. I know. Now go before I change my mind and make you stay. Eleazar stands. Miriam hugs the old man, brief, tight, then pulls away before emotion paralyzes her. Yael and David approach their grandfather. He pulls them close, whispers something. Eleazar can't hear what. Probably goodbye, probably blessing, probably lies about seeing them again. Then they're at the door, ready, packed, prepared to become traitors to Jerusalem for the sake of staying human. The western wall, Eleazar says, near the corner tower, there's a section the patrols miss. We go there, wait for the gap, climb down, run. Simple, Miriam says. Not sarcastic, just acknowledging that plans this desperate are always simple. Complexity requires hope. They have none. They open the door. Step into the street. Behind them, his father sits in the darkness, alone, dying, sacrificing himself so his grandchildren might survive. This is what siege does. Turns love into abandonment, turns survival into betrayal, turns decent people into refugees fleeing in the night. The streets are empty, mostly. Occasionally they see figures, other families, other deserters, all moving toward the same goal. No one speaks, no one acknowledges each other. In Jerusalem, desertion is death. Even conspirators don't conspire openly. They move quickly. Eleazar carries David when the boy stumbles. Miriam leads Yael by the hand. They stay in shadows, avoid open spaces, trust darkness to hide them. The western wall appears ahead, tall, imposing, built to protect Jerusalem from invaders. Now it's a cage, keeping the dying trapped inside. Near the corner tower, Eleazar sees others gathered, maybe 20 people, families, individuals, all waiting for the same thing, the patrol gap. The moment when the Zealot guards change, shifts, and 30 seconds of unwatched wall becomes their chance at survival. A man approaches. Eleazar tenses, but the man just nods, whispers, "You're escaping too?" Eleazar nods. The patrol changes in 10 minutes. When they do, we all go together. Strength in numbers. If they see one, they'll investigate. If they see 20, they'll have to choose who to chase. You've done this before? I've watched it. Every night, someone tries. Sometimes they make it. Sometimes they don't. What are the odds? Does it matter? Staying is certain death. Leaving is possible death. Simple math. The man moves away. Joins his own family, a wife, 3 children, all skeletal, all desperate, all gambling, everything on one moment of possible freedom. Eleazar pulls Miriam close. When the patrol changes, he whispers, "We run. Don't stop. Don't look back. If they catch us, they catch us. But we don't stop running." She nods. Grips Yael's hand tighter. Yael understands. Even at 8, she understands. This is it. This is everything. The minutes pass. Eleazar counts his heartbeats, counts his breaths, tries to remember prayers but can't. The words are gone. Only survival remains. Then voices. The patrol. Coming down the wall. 2 guards. Talking. Complaining about duty. About hunger. About the same things everyone complains about. They pass. Continue. Their footsteps fade. 10 seconds. 20 seconds. 30 seconds. Someone hisses. Now! 20 people surge forward. Toward the wall. Toward ropes already placed by earlier deserters. Toward the climb down. Toward Rome. Toward life. Eleazar lifts David. Hold on tight. He starts climbing down. The rope is rough. Cuts his hands. He doesn't care. Below, the ground waits. Beyond the ground, Roman camps. Beyond the camps, survival. Above, someone shouts. The Zealots have seen them. Arrows fly. Eleazar hears screams. People falling, dying mid-escape. But he doesn't look up. His father said, "Don't look back," so he doesn't. He reaches the ground. Miriam lands beside him. Yael, David. They're all down, all alive. All running now, toward the Roman lines, toward the enemy, toward the impossible hope that mercy exists somewhere in this cursed war. Behind them, Jerusalem burns. Ahead, Rome waits. They run. The Roman camp outside Jerusalem. 3 weeks after the escape, 21 days of captivity that feels like freedom because captivity includes food. Eleazar sits with his family. They're in a holding area, a section for refugees, deserters, prisoners awaiting classification. They have rations now. Bread, water, actual food, not enough to satisfy, enough to survive. David is eating. Slowly, carefully. His body doesn't remember how to process real food. He's been sick twice from eating too fast. Learning to be nourished is a skill you forget during starvation. Yael sits beside Eleazar. She's quiet, has been quiet since they crossed into Roman lines, processing, thinking, growing up in ways no 8-year-old should. What happens now, she asks. I don't know. The Romans will decide. Probably slavery. Probably we'll be separated, sent to different places, different masters. Will I see you again? Eleazar wants to lie, wants to say, yes, of course, we'll be together. But he can't. The truth is, he doesn't know. Family means nothing to Rome. Slaves go where they're useful. If that means splitting them up, they'll be split. I hope so, he says. I'll try. I'll do everything I can to keep us together. It's a weak promise. But it's true. It's all he can offer. Miriam approaches. She's been to the water distribution, carries a full jar, full. The weight of it seems to astonish her. She sets it down like it's precious, which it is. Water was death in Jerusalem. Here, it's abundant. The shift is disorienting. I heard news, she says quietly, from a Roman soldier. Jerusalem fell yesterday. Eleazar goes still. Fell? The walls were breached. The legions entered. They're burning everything. The temple, she stops, swallows. The temple is gone, burned to the foundations. Titus ordered total destruction, 3 weeks. His father survived 3 weeks after they left. Eleazar lets himself feel that, lets himself hope the old man died before the end, died in his sleep, peacefully, rather than in the massacre. Probably not true. Probably his father died when the Romans entered. Probably he died screaming, or burning, or crushed under falling stones. Probably his death was terrible. But Eleazar lets himself hope for peace, for mercy, for an easy death in a war that gave no one ease. How many dead? He asks. The soldier said hundreds of thousands, maybe 1 million, the whole city, 1 million people, 1 million lives. Eleazar knew most of them would die, knew it the moment he decided to leave. Doesn't make hearing it easier. Josephus was right, Miriam says, about all of it, the factions, the starvation, the cannibalism, the end. He wrote it all down. He'll tell our story, the story of Jerusalem's fall. Our story? Eleazar shakes his head. We don't have a story. We ran, we survived. That's not a story. That's just not dying. It's more than most got. True, most got death. They got life. Even if life means slavery, even if life means losing everything, city, faith, freedom, dignity, at least they got to keep their children. Eleazar looks at Yael and David. They're alive, thin but alive, eating but alive, enslaved but alive. His father died so they could have this. Died alone in Jerusalem so his grandchildren could eat Roman bread in a Roman camp. Was it worth it? Eleazar doesn't know. Can't know. The answer depends on what comes next, on whether David grows up, whether Yael has children, whether the family line continues or ends with them. All he knows is this. He made a choice, shared grain with a dying boy, left his father behind, betrayed Jerusalem to save his family. These choices don't have moral clarity. They don't have righteousness. They just have consequences. The sun sets over the destroyed city. Smoke still rises from what was the temple, what was God's house, what was the center of Jewish faith, hope, identity, gone now, reduced to ash and rubble. Eleazar closes his eyes, says a prayer for his father, for Judith, for Aaron, for every person who stayed in Jerusalem and died there, for every person who believed God would deliver them and learned, too late, that sometimes God doesn't. Tomorrow, the Romans will decide their fate. Tomorrow, They'll learn if slavery means staying together or being torn apart. Tomorrow brings new uncertainties, new fears, new survival. But tonight, they're alive, together, fed, safe, or as safe as slaves can be. His father gave them that. Jerusalem died for it, but they have it. 3 handfuls of barley, 5 figs, 1 impossible choice. That's what survival cost. That's what freedom cost. That's what it means to live through history, not as heroes or martyrs, but as people who made terrible choices because the alternative was watching their children die. Eleazar opens his eyes, takes his daughter's hand, his son's hand, his wife's hand. They sit together as darkness falls, as Jerusalem burns, as the siege finally, mercifully ends. They survived. That will have to be enough.